Hey guys, hope you're doing well today. Happy Friday. Time is flying by. We are literally already halfway through the year. I don't even know. Time is just flying by so fast. I feel like I don't even know where it's going. This is a reminder we're in July, and the theme for this month is establishing boundaries and assertiveness. We're in week 2 because the year is split and how I decided to have one episode per week and then on one Friday Fireside Chat. We're having the Friday Fireside Chat before the main episode. So, just as a heads up. But the theme for this week, the 8th to 14th, is learning to say no. Learning to say no, standing up for yourself, establishing your boundaries, holding your boundaries is so important. Because understanding your boundaries is one thing, that you have the right to have boundaries, what boundaries are, how to implement them, when and where and with whom to implement them, all important. But it's also important to be able to hold them. That's actually where the value comes from, because if you don't hold your boundaries, they don't really have any value. That means if you ask your friend to stop meeting you always 30 minutes to an hour late every meeting, if you don't enforce some consequences, they're not going to change their behavior. So there has to be some kind of response when someone fails to meet your own boundary. You had the right to say no when something is infringing on your energetic sovereignty, your psychological sovereignty even. You have the right to say no and to resist that and to demand better. Life is only as good as your boundaries. Your quality of life is only as good as your boundaries. Your relationships, as a matter of fact, are only as good as your boundaries. Boundaries, they protect your energy, your physical energy, your emotional, spiritual energy. Literally, it will deplete you and drain you, which is the cycle of narcissistic abuse. Those who don't have boundaries and tend to merge with others. That's how you end up in these exploitative and extractive dynamics. And it's so important to be able to respect yourself enough to say no and to put an end to that dynamic. Because you deserve better. Truly. One thing that we have to remember is that while we're in the process of reparenting, there will be many blind spots that we have. For example, I didn't understand boundaries until my mid-20s. And I didn't understand the depths of how complicated or all the different areas of boundaries until I was almost in my 30s. For example, internal boundaries, the boundaries you set with yourself, to refuse to allow yourself to cycle and continue ruminating on a certain thought or event or belief. As well as external boundaries is refusing people to, allow people to disrespect your privacy or your peace of mind or your quiet place or time when you're studying, for example. There are so many different kinds of boundaries and different ways to approach and implement them. It's so important that we show ourselves this respect, because we are showing the world how to treat us by how we treat ourselves and how we respond to the treatment of others. You could be frustrated at the way that you are treated by other people, but there is some part of that is your responsibility, because we really do teach people how to treat us. They will watch your interactions with others, how you respond to them, how you behave under pressure, how you handle emotions. And this is data that they use then to determine how to interact with you in a way that is most fulfilling for their own needs, because they also have their own needs, right? But learning to say no is the most important thing. You cannot allow yourself to lose track of who you are, of your core. Without a solid no, you dissolve. You become invisible, and not in a good sense. It is so important that we learn to respect ourselves. Because without our ability to say no, despite all the guilt, shame, fear, or sadness that might accompany that, sadness because of all the times that we didn't set boundaries where we needed them, fear because we feel in trouble for setting boundaries, as if we don't have the right if we grew up with enmeshed parents, anger that we spent so long being taken advantage of, without the capacity to protect ourselves. So there are so many emotions that come up when you're in the swing of really implementing and protecting, defending your boundaries. There's a lot of emotions that comes up. I've been facing some lately in relation to some of the more intimate relationships with my family. But I'm working through that now. I've worked through some of the other issues, or emotions, not issues, and now I'm facing that final frontier, I guess you could say, right? Because once you can hold boundaries with your family, you can hold them with anyone. Well, for me, it is the case that once I feel that I can say no and protect myself energetically, spiritually around my family, because that was the original training ground, right, that led to the other relationship situations. Once you can solve the root problem, it will be much easier to handle it going forward. And so today, I just losing my voice a bit, so I'm not gonna go for too long today. I just wanted to remind you that you have the right to say no, that it's important to say no. And I want to encourage you to check out the book by Vernon Howard, Learning to Say No. I will go ahead and make some shorts so you guys can find that on YouTube in case you're new here. But it really is an excellent book that will teach you almost everything that you need to know about boundaries and learning to say no. It really is an outstanding book. It's literally called Learning to Say No by Vernon Howard. I'll put a link also in the comments on YouTube so you can check it out. That's what I would recommend you take some time for the rest of this month if it's something that you still struggle with. So thanks again for being here, guys. I appreciate your time, your presence as always. Take care of yourself, and please do be well.